Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another one of our Alps Control Solutions series. I'm really excited to have you guys today. My name is Dane Albinger, and I'm the Director of Vendor Performance here at Alps Controls. Today, we're going to be joined by Johnson Controls, Josh and Keith with the JCI team, specifically diving into their new solution, the System 550 Control Series that we're going to be learning a little bit about. This is an interactive session, so guys, we encourage you to send in your questions. If you actually look at the very bottom of your screen, in the Zoom page there's a Q&A section. Please submit all of your questions throughout the session as it's going on. At the very end, we're actually going to be reading those off and answering any of the questions that you had. So by all means, get those submitted. But without further ado, I'm just going to introduce the JCI people and get this kicked off. So Josh and Keith, take it away.
Yeah, appreciate you guys all joining today. As Dane mentioned, I'm Josh Kendzierski, Channel Account Manager at Johnson Controls based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Been with Johnson for a little over 10 years, and we also have Keith on the phone. Keith, if you want to introduce yourself quick.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Keith Gifford, Senior Global Product Manager for Johnson Controls with responsibility for the PENN product line. Been with JCI on 2 stints now for about 12 years.
Great. So for anyone unfamiliar with the PENN Controls brand, PENN's been around for over 100 years, established back in 1919 and acquired by Johnson Controls back in 1968. So if you know it, it's primarily a commercial refrigeration brand, but it's really versatile and fits into a lot more applications than just commercial refrigeration. And System 550, our latest PENN release, is probably the best showcase of this versatility. So we're excited to share it with you guys today. Essentially, before we get into it here, System 550 is our next generation in our line of modular electronic controls. So at its core, it's essentially a simple, expandable I/O control system to manage and now remotely monitor multiple control parameters for a wide range of applications in HVAC and refrigeration. So taking a look at the agenda, we're not going to get too in the weeds today. Really want to share some highlights with you guys around System 550 and leave some time for Q&A at the end. And then that being said, we're happy to do a deeper dive with anyone who's interested down the road. So we'll start out sharing some industry trends that we've been seeing and where System 550 fits. Keith will give you guys an overview of the System 550 offering, looking at key features, applications where it best fits. We've seen customers use this in hundreds of applications, so we'll just share a few for you guys. And then taking a quick look at the interface and configuration basics. And then we'll close it out looking at the PENN Control System Cloud, looking at how to leverage remote monitoring as a tool to grow your business, and give you guys a quick look at the PENN Cloud interface itself. So looking at industry trends, one of the biggest that we've been seeing is an increasing demand for remote monitoring. It's been, of course, pretty prevalent in the industry, especially in more complex commercial buildings for a long time. But we've really been seeing a growing demand in smaller scale applications. So part of why we're seeing a higher demand is because we're starting to see simple, affordable options like System 550 that fit the needs of that side of the market. Really, to be a good fit for those applications, you need straightforward, configurable components, easy to install and configure, doesn't necessarily take a long time or a lot of labor hours. Budget-friendly options, full-scale building automation systems can sometimes be too expensive for applications. And in the same vein of budget-friendly options, a lot of folks are looking for systems without hidden commissioning fees, licensing fees, and things like that. Another big benefit with remote monitoring is the peace of mind side of things. So we're seeing this a lot more, especially with small business owners leaning on contractors to monitor their HVAC and refrigeration equipment if they don't have a technician on staff, like a university or a hospital complex. And of course, a little bit less on the remote monitoring side, but seeing a lot of folks looking at that increasing demand for energy efficiency and looking for controls that'll save them money in the long run. So what is System 550? I'll breeze through this slide a little bit because we'll talk about some of this in more detail in the coming slides. But essentially, System 550 can be used to manage multiple control parameters, any mix of temperature, humidity, and pressure inputs, and it's an expandable system. So your main module, your control module, starts with 2 relay or analog outputs, and then you can expand that 2 outputs at a time up to 10 relay or analog outputs. System 550 is also A2L certified to be used with equipment that's using new A2L refrigerants to comply with upcoming regulations. We're not going to focus on this a ton today, but please feel free if you have any A2L questions to ask those at the end of the session here. And then going back to remote monitoring, System 550 comes with the option for affordable cloud connectivity. So for you guys, what this does is really allows you to better serve your building owners, using remote alarms to proactively catch issues and, in some applications, protect costly product loss. And now I'm going to hand it over to Keith to share some applications where System 550 shines and to give you guys a quick look at how simple configuration is.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, this is just a very small subset of the applications that is capable through System 550. As Josh said, when you have inputs of up to 3 temperature, humidity, and pressure inputs, and keep in mind that the pressure side can be either differential pressure or it can be system pressure. So when we take a look at those, starting in the 9 squares that we have here, we see a lot of applications with modular chillers and boilers where you're typically controlling water loop temperature. System 550 is also sophisticated enough to do runtime optimization. So where you have multiple modular chillers or modular boilers, and you want to make sure that you've got equal runtime on each one of those, that is a capability of System 550. The other capability of System 550 is doing what we call outdoor reset. So I think most of you that have dealt with either boilers or chillers understand that as the temperature gets milder outside and you have a boiler, you do not typically want it to run the water loop temperature at the same temperature. You want to adjust that slope downward so it's maintaining a lower water loop temperature. System 550 has that capability. Supermarkets, there's a lot of applications here ranging from display case control temperature to a combination of evaporator temperature control, defrost control, and in the commercial refrigeration space, we support all 3 defrost types. So we support off-cycle defrost, electric defrost, and hot gas bypass defrost. And a 4th one that is part of the electric defrost is what we call demand defrost, which is a smart defrost algorithm that actually optimizes the defrost cycle by determining how long it took over a period of time to actually defrost that coil. Cafeterias, the same thing here. This can be used for either hot or cold, food prep tables, food warming tables, and so forth. Convenience stores, again, variety of applications. This is more commercial refrigeration. So the applications I talked about earlier come into play, but it can also do, for instance, condenser fan cycling. Here's an application that Josh is showing here using a temperature and humidity input, where you're using the 4 outputs. You can see here the output, the first 2 outputs are to control the humidification and dehumidification equipment. The second output is a relay output controlling the heating and cooling equipment. And then you have 2 analog outputs. So that would be the last module on the right-hand side, which is an expansion module. And it's going to give a proportional output to control the fan and the damper actuator. So typical applications that you see with humidity and temperature control would be natatoriums, wine rooms, floral display cases or floral shops, greenhouses, and the list goes on and on. A lot of grow rooms are using a combination of humidity and temperature as well. So this is one application. You see here now, this is connected to our cloud platform. The cloud platform is via a wireless connection. So System 550 control modules, every module has the capability of being connected to the cloud with the purchase of a license to connect that to the cloud. All right, if you want to move to the next one, Josh. So this is one using a combination of air temperature, discharge air temperature, and duct static pressure. It's a very simple where we have those two analog outputs. One is controlling variable speed drive, and the other one is controlling the actuator that's mounted to a valve, three-way valve. And again, you're connected to the cloud, or can be connected to the cloud. The last one here is a more complicated application. Here we've, in addition to monitoring the freezer temperature and the evaporator coil temperature, we're also now adding an A2L sensor, a refrigerant sensor. And so what's going to happen here is if there is a leak, or for whatever reason, if the sensor is faulty, the user will select the mitigation protocol. What do we mean by that? Well, we mean that if the unit now goes into mitigation, typically what will happen is the compressor will shut down, the evaporator fans will be on, and will typically go to full speed if they're variable speed or multi-speed. You'll shut off the heating element if it's on, and you will then lock out basically the system for 5 minutes is a requirement by UL 60335. Once the LFL, or the lower flammability limit, is reached for that refrigerant leak, you'll maintain that 5-minute lockout, and then the control then will actually allow you to resume operation after that 5 minutes. Okay, again, if you're hooked to the cloud here, you will get alerts and notifications by either email or SMS text or both that you have an issue with the system, a refrigerant leak. Since these are smart A2L sensors, they're communicating with System 550 via Modbus, you're going to know exactly why this system went into mitigation. If there's a leak, it's going to tell you the A2L level through the sensor, and it's also going to tell you when the leak actually tripped the sensor, and then when it actually went back into operation. So that's where this is more of a smart system with the Modbus backplane. Okay. Telling you a little bit about how the controller and the display is designed. We've simplified the user interface here, and you'll see that in the next slide, but I'll just go over. So what we have here is what we call badges. So that's what's displayed. The control is configured so every so many seconds it's actually going to show the next badge. But here, if we rotate this dial, this rotary dial here, if there's another sensor hooked up, it'll show you what that sensor value is, and the set point. And if there's other, warnings or alerts that are on the home screen, those will show in these badges. This LCD display is backlit, and it can be changed. The contrast and the brightness can be changed from the lowest setting of 1 all the way up to the highest setting of 10. You can also change if you want to display in degrees F, or if you're sensing PSI or system pressure, you can change that to bar right through this this dial. So in the middle here, what we've added is these quick access menus. So when the badge is showing the set point, you simply push and release the rotary encoder dial, and then you can rotate left or right to increase or decrease the set point. Once you have decided where you want the set point to be, you can then confirm that set point by that short press and release. So this is a big difference from some of the other control systems we have, where something as frequently visited as a set point adjustment is now readily available in these quick access dials. One thing I want to point out is if you're connected to the cloud, this is a two-way cloud platform. So that means that all of these configuration elements in System 550 can also be changed through cloud access. So if you want to, for instance, initiate defrost or change a set point, you can do that with the appropriate access control through the cloud. Next slide, Josh. The other thing that you'll find, and hopefully you'll find that this is, intuitive and helps with the menu, at least viewing it and setting it up, is these accordion menus in the middle. So that means if there is a set point or an adjustment already made in the menu, it'll actually accordion out and show you that that's already been set. You can see on the left-hand side that the menu is relatively short. It starts with the application, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Then the sensors, then the outputs, and then leak detect. You will only use this if you're using the A2L functionality. And then lastly, the advanced, which has your Wi-Fi settings and some of the other controls that typically you wouldn't use except maybe during setup. If we look at the middle here, what this user has decided is they want this application to be an on-off application, and it's a single stage. So you could have on-off multi-stage. You could have a reset application. So the applications allow you to quickly, get a subset of configuration points so that you can easily configure the device. Now, one of the things you'll see here is that if you go back a minute here, you can have several applications actually running on a single C550 controller. And as I mentioned earlier, the leak detect functionality actually sits on top of any other application that you're going to set. So that's so that we meet the requirements of UL 60335, where any of your outputs are going to be overridden as part of that leak detection menu. On the right-hand side here, all of the sensor names, all of the outputs are customizable. So here's where you don't have to remember, okay, what is sensor number 1 or what is output number 1? Here you can go in and actually edit that default name of sensor number 1, and you can call it whatever you want, and then you just press and hold it for 2 seconds to set that menu. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I think this is back to you, Josh.
Yep, thanks, Keith. So we'll jump back over to the remote monitoring and cloud connectivity piece now. So diving into that more, I'm sure some of you may already incorporate remote monitoring into your commercial offering, but for those that don't, really it's a great tool for you to better serve your customers. So expanding on some of what Keith was talking about, creates two-way communication between you and that end user, the building owner. Looking at remote alarms that can help you proactively roll a truck and service equipment, in many cases before an emergency, looking at minimizing equipment downtime, reducing potential product loss in the event of the walk-in cooler freezer example, and some others. Keith mentioned it's two-way cloud connectivity, so it allows for remote system adjustments. We can modify set points, run manual defrost cycles, and troubleshoot remotely. And on the business side of things for you guys, it really positions you for recurring revenue opportunities. So going back to the industry trends and looking at the peace of mind that comes with 24/7 remote monitoring, what this does is it potentially adds a lot of value to your service agreements, and potentially also positions you as a trusted advisor if your commercial offering is a step above your competition. You'll have building owners and customers more likely to come back to you for future opportunities, looking at replacement equipment, upgrades, and other sales opportunities. So to give you guys a quick look at the PENN Controls Cloud, System 550 and all of our future electronic PENN controls can be pulled into this control system cloud for $10 or less per year per system. So we're not going to be doing a full demo today, but this is a look at the homepage once you have an account set up. So you as the contractor can see all of your cloud-enabled System 550 installations across your whole customer base. And then diving further into a system, you can see up to 30 days of trending for all of the inputs and outputs that you have connected to those System 550 devices. So the example that we're looking at here is a walk-in cooler freezer that Keith was sharing before with defrost control. And as you can see, looking at the top left, we're monitoring the amount of time that the compressor is on, the amount of time that the evaporator fan is on, and what signal it's receiving, and the amount of time that the defrost heater is on as well. And then, of course, with the freezer temperature input, we're monitoring that as well in the bottom left to make sure it's within the set point range. And then we have a couple of A2L sensors connected as well that are showing no leaks over the last 30 days. And then, of course, you can set up alarms for any of these points to go to an email inbox or text as well. So to kind of sum this up and close this out, looking back at the application examples, if we have a walk-in cooler freezer that Keith was sharing with thousands of dollars of product inside, ideally, if something goes wrong and that temperature starts increasing, we want to know as soon as possible to try and save that inventory. So this is where you come in, and this is where you can monetize this and add some value to your commercial offering. So looking again at that walk-in cooler freezer, we have monitoring set up with System 550 done in the background. You receive an alert that the temperature is above the set point range. Reach out and proactively notify that building owner so they're aware, you're their watchdog. They have peace of mind that you're watching over their system. And then you can roll a truck ideally before that inventory is lost. So, of course, we're just talking about a walk-in cooler freezer right here in this example, but there can be a ton of value with this in other applications as well. Even, looking at some of the humidity applications that Keith was talking about with greenhouses and grow houses and flower shops where that inventory needs to be protected. So a ton of potential value added to service agreements with those business owners. And as far as content goes, that's what we have for you guys today. Want to open it up for questions now.
We got a bunch of questions in our queue already, so we'll get right to them. The first one would like to know, what communication protocols does System 550 support?
Okay, there is no, it's a wireless connected device, so it doesn't require any special communications protocol. as I mentioned during the session, the backplane, when we mean the backplane, there's a six pins that connect the control module to a power module and then to expansion modules. And of course, the A2L sensors are running on that backplane. That backplane is Modbus RS485. And so there are plans, matter of fact, we're working on them now, to actually add another module to this backplane that would allow the data to be ported from that Modbus backplane to a supervisory controller. This is primarily a data dump. It is not managing, it is not allowing that system controller to override any of the functions at all. So it is just a data dump, and it will be able to communicate through both BACnet MSTP as well as Modbus RS485 through a user selection protocol. So no special communications in terms of the wireless cloud connectivity. All you need basically is a means to get to the internet.
Okay, this might be a related question to that. Darren Hahn would like to know, is the connectivity via cellular or Wi-Fi only?
Yes, it's through, again, you just need a connection to access the internet.
Question, what sensor types does System 550 support?
Okay, there's a whole list of sensors. We're using 10,000 ohm temperature sensors that we supply, both our A99 and our TE9000 series, but you can also configure your own temperature sensor inputs. We also allow for binary sensors, and then we also have a list available are both our duct humidity and our wall humidity sensors. And then we have a line of differential pressure transmitters. And the last would be a line of our P499 series system pressure transducers. But again, you can configure your own sensor as well.
We have one person who wants to know, is there a tool available for uploading System 550 configuration files?
Okay, that's a really good question. There are several ways that you can either upload both firmware and or config files and or download config files. So one easy way of uploading config files is by the wireless connectivity, and it's it takes less than a minute or two to do that through a smart device that's connected to the internet. The second way, it's hard to see in this photo here or any other photos that we showed, but every one of our control modules actually has a USB-C port on the bottom left-hand side. And through a tethered connection to your computer, you can upload and download config files. And again, there's a program that you download. It's a shareware program, so you don't have to hit any buttons. If you're going to be in somewhat of an assembly process where you're going to upload the same config file to, let's say, 50 different control modules, you will simply upload the first one, unplug it. You'll get a message on the screen that the upload was complete. You'll unplug your USB cable and you'll plug the next one in. Keep in mind that the controllers are getting power from the USB cable, so you don't even have to power the control modules.
Kevin Barr would like to know, how do the controllers send the signal? If via text message, many cellular providers are not recognizing control system SMS text messages any longer.
Keep in mind, this is through the cloud, right? So this is not a cellular type of network. This is going, through the cloud network.
Darren Hahn is back with another question. He would like to know, does it have PRAC for loop tuning?
No, not PRAC. We can do proportional control and PID loop type of control.
Is it branded with the Johnson Controls logo on the hardware and the web interface?
It's branded just the way you see it here on the control. So it's using the PENN logo. The Johnson Controls cloud does have the Johnson Controls label on it. So as Josh mentioned during his portion of the session, we recognized early on that this could not be something that required additional gateways, routers. We're not talking about a lot of data that's being ported through this. So this is a very affordable subscription. It's less than $1 a month subscription.
Speaking of cost too, Josh, it might be worth noting just the typical package cost, as compared to a full-blown control system too.
You mean like Alps sell price?
No, just as a complete solution, with this being, something that, with all the bells and whistles, if you expanded out the IO, this is something that's under $1,000 typically, right?
Absolutely.
Versus,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you're not going to find another solution that has this level of capability at this price point.
We have one person who wants to know, do I need a specific router or gateway for remote access?
No, you don't. No, and if people would like to, a little bit more information on how you connect, we can certainly set up another session or maybe an individual session. I'll also point out that there is an option when you register for the cloud to actually have a 90-day trial period. And that trial period can be simply for one device or it can be for 10 devices. They're both going to end at 90 days, but you don't need any payment information to initiate the trial period. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in the cloud and what it can provide, that sign up for the trial period.
Can I change System 550 set points remotely?
Yeah, you can not only change the set point, but you can initiate a defrost. You can change, high temperature limits, low temperature limits. Any of the alarm settings can be configured remotely. We didn't show you that, but again, we can do that in another session.
Mark Brest has a softball question, probably more for Dane and me. Are all of these products available through Alps Controls currently?
They are, yes. Yeah, they're on the website. And if you guys need more information or want to do a deeper dive on this, that is something we're very willing to do.
And we have a question from Gene O'Farrell, who wants to know, how much does the cloud subscription cost, and does it need to be renewed yearly?
Yeah, it is a scalable subscription. So in other words, you have a basic subscription that's one license, but then if you want more licenses, the more licenses that you buy at a single point, here's a good slide here, you can see the cost goes down. So the lowest cost would be that when you buy that platinum subscription package, now you're at $9 per license. And these are annual costs. So these do not renew automatically. Well, it actually is renewed on an annual basis. And so this is again, as I said earlier, this is less than $1 a month per control.
Are subscriptions purchased directly or via the website?
They're through the Control System Cloud website. We use an application called Stripe. Some of you are probably familiar with Stripe, but we use Stripe as basically our license administrator, online license administrator. So once you decide you're going to sign up for the online, the web platform, you will choose your subscription package, and then you'll put your credit card information in, and then once that's approved, then you'll be given a list of licenses that you're going to apply basically as the way to turn on the controller so that does a handshake with the cloud.
Quick note for the end too, we're also going to be raffling off 2 System 550 control bundles from the participants that came to this webinar. So you're going to receive that via email within the next week to see if you won. So stay tuned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for
Take care.
joining.